So I just wanted to record and have this out here somewhere about my theory about religion and spirituality and how it affects society, and how it combines with everything. So my belief is that spirituality, religion is where everything intersects. I believe that all religions and spiritualities are all just trying to study the human psyche and its interactions with our external environment. That is all that spirituality and religion is, and it's all where everything meets, because it's also the study of the sciences and how they impact our psyches and how we experience them, not just how they objectively are. Mind you, nothing is objective, but it's how we experience them, how we see how our parts of ourselves interact with them and how they interact with parts of ourselves, our inner landscape and our outer landscape. I think it's kind of ridiculous to kind of assume that our inner landscape doesn't exist. Our inner landscape does exist. Our experience does exist. I was talking to ChatGPT, and mind you, this was like, I knew ChatGPT wasn't great for the environment, but I was like, one question wouldn't hurt, but back to not using it, right? But I was talking to ChatGPT about consciousness and what would be the difference between like AIs, like where would we know that AI was sentient? That was what I was talking about. And you might say, what a topic, but that's the type of stuff that I'd be interested in, right? And it was talking about like our awareness and the way that we experience things, that we have an experience. It's not just information, we're experiencing it. And the experience is that kind of that magic, that play. It's not what you go through, it's how you experience it, right? And every single religion and psychology, religion and spirituality is just studying that and studying how we can be more power and impactful within our lives by following very simple things that are proven by psychology to make our lives better. And the reason I really dived into the idea of, spirituality and science, because that's my biggest thing, is I like to combine like spirituality with psychology. I think that those are two sides of the same coin, with science and with art specifically. Art is like the expression of our experience. That's what it is. Art is inherently spiritual, and it's also tied to why I believe all the spiritualities use like art to tell their forms. They use stories, they use songs, they use depictions, they use myths, because art and play is a requirement for spirituality. And I think that's where the problem with religions are starting to go wrong, is that they've taken the art and the play out of it and they've turned it into just rules and very rigid stuff. Okay, and this is going to be a little bit disjointed because there's a lot of information I want to go over. I'm going to be touching on everything, and I just want you to remember throughout the course of this video that that's the whole thing, is that where everything intersects is religion, spirituality, and God. That is my belief. So keep that in mind when you're listening to me talk, because it's going to seem like I'm jumping different places, but it all connects back in the middle, and every single piece of information is important to this theory of religion and spiritualities. And so I believe that everything has two sides, technically three, but the third side is a little bit kind of, so yeah, let me just explain. So I believe that there's energy, right? There's our internal experience, and then there's our external experience. It's from up here, source, internal experience, outward experience. Those are the 3 points of our reality, right? But when I talk about the 2 points of our reality, there's the rigid and then there's the flow, and both are important. And I think this is where people get lost, because people lean too much into the rigid, or people lean too much into the flow. Balance is so important, and you'll notice that a lot of spiritualities and religions talk about balance in some sort of way. I grew up in the church, and the biggest thing was that the church, and I used to be super dedicated. Like, I used to be the most Christian, like I was the most Christian girl, pastor's kid that you could ever fucking think about. And I always believed in the spiritual because I was raised to believe in it. But I had always had some qualms about the idea of the rigidity and the religion, the rigidity of religion, and how it's used as an oppressive force, and how it has inconsistencies within its rules. I was like, spirituality is good, but all these things that you're telling me don't sound like the God that you're telling me about. The God of love and care and creation is the same person who's going to send people to hell for eternity for wearing a skirt that's too short and for being gay. That doesn't make any logical sense. And then the fact that you're telling me to not use my logic because God works in mysterious ways. The only reason God works in mysterious ways is because we don't have the computation power to understand, not because there is not a reason. And that's the issue. When people say God works in mysterious ways, they would say it for things that we absolutely had resources to research. We actually have the resources, the computational skills to have an answer. If your God is so perfect and your God created this world, then if you look for an answer, you will find it, and it will lead you back to that God. If everything around you is not proof of that God, then does the God actually exist, or is that God all powerful? It's either that this God is not all powerful and y'all are pretending, or this God is all powerful but he's just an evil person, or y'all just have the wrong concept of God entirely. And so it was a really big journey, like the concept of hell, but also the idea of there's only one right religion, and the right religion is the religion of the colonialists, the same people who tortured people all over the world. That's the right religion. That don't sound sus to you? If God came down on this earth and was the one that created man, that means every single man, every single race, every single culture has a connection back to that God. And that connection has shown itself in different ways. God didn't just, if God created there and was at the beginning of where the first humans were, then the knowledge of God would have spread in different ways through different cultures. Have we ever thought that every single different religion is just a different cultural interpretation of the way of God? And then looking at those cultures and being like, we are cursing these cultures and we're cursing these religions and saying they're evil without ever actually understanding them. My dad said meditation was a demonic practice. What is meditation? What is meditation? A demonic practice? No, but what is it? You can't tell you. It can't tell you. Tarot is to communicate with the devil. What is tarot? You can't actually answer that question. Talking about yoga, stretching is demonic. Oh, okay, what is yoga? You can't answer the question. The fact that we had a culture of talking shit about things that we do not know about. We have no information. The thing is, a lot of the mysticism in Christianity is not actual mysticism. It's forced mysticism. It's forced illusions. It's forced contradictions. I don't believe Christianity itself is a problem. I believe the institutions that hide behind Christianity are a big fucking issue. And honestly, I'm ready to talk about it. I guess this is the direction that this video is going. Because I'm just talking about whatever comes to my spirit. I guess this is the direction this is going. Christianity is a blessing, but it's also a big scam. The church, let's talk about it. There's Christianity and there's the church. And the church is a colonialist. The church is a capitalist force. How are you going to take the religion of love from the people that are spreading violence and hate and say that's the correct religion? And they're telling you, we're hurting your people, we're harming your people. But you have to obey us and tell us, and we'll tell you how to be good. We don't have to be good because we're inherently good. Y'all are the evil ones. Everything that y'all touch is evil, so you have to beg and change and beat yourself up and go through all this suffering to even get an ounce of worthiness. What does that sound like to you? It's slave conditioning. Sorry, I'm getting my tea all over. I'm literally getting too passionate about this. You're talking about, you get your ideals of modesty from people who, my dad used to argue about me with modesty. And I would be like, modesty? Like, my ancestors didn't used to walk around in long sleeve shirts and leg pants. My ancestors used to walk with a lot of skin because they grew up in hot climates, and the people who come from colder climates who have to wear, or very harsh climates that have to wear those longer ones, are telling you the way that you're doing is evil. Have you ever thought that they just don't know how to process differences? Have you ever thought that it was not divinity that caused them to say that? Have you ever thought that it was actually demons? The demonic force of racism? The demonic force of capitalism and colonialism and hatred and greed? Have we thought about that? Y'all be wanting to start fighting demons, witches. The demon is your hatred. The demon is right here. You don't need to look into this mysticism world. There's nothing mystifying about demons. The demon is your jealousy, your hatred, your need to be superior to others, your need to compete, your need to have to appear to be better than you are, your need for power. Like those are the demons. Let's start there. Why are y'all trying to go into the mystical shit before we even dealt with the shit that's right in front of our face? There absolutely is mystical shit. There's absolutely, like, even if you don't believe in that, there's absolutely shit that we have not discovered yet that's going to be scientifically proven after we're no longer on this planet. That is considered mystical shit because we do not have an explanation for that shit, right? But why are we exploring things we don't have the resources to explore when we have the stuff we have the resources to explore right here? We can't even get past level 1. I always say this, religions, at least religions as we know them, are like the preschool of spiritual evolution. Religions as we know them are the preschool of spiritual evolution. Like, you guys, have you ever thought about the fact that the concepts that you learn in religion, or the way, not even the concepts, because you know how I talked about the concepts would be the stiff stuff, the stacking stuff, but the flow is the patterns. Have you noticed that the pattern of how you approach religion and spirituality is like a first grader who's like, I passed first grade, so I don't have to learn anything else. And I'm going to keep talking about my first grade theories as if they would hold up against the real world, the real complex shit. That is exactly how I look at a lot of religious people right now. It's not that religion is bad, it's that y'all refuse to progress. Y'all are saying, do not steal, do not kill. Being gay is wrong. Yeah, I have my list of rules, and I'm going to keep reading. 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. And then someone says 3 × 6 is whatever 3 × 6 is, because I'm really bad at math. Don't get on my ass. Or you say, someone says 3 × 6 is this, and you're like, no, I only know 1 × 2. I don't know about that 3 × 6 shit. That's exactly how y'all sound. Complexity of thought is not a bad thing. And the only people that are going to convince you that complexity of thought is a bad thing are the people who seek to control you. The church is a capitalist, colonialist force. It does not exist to serve you. It exists to control you. Christianity in itself is not the issue. It is the church. It is the forces that are hiding behind Christianity and telling you that Christianity and capitalism go hand in hand when Jesus was the biggest anti-capitalist of them all. The same Jesus that said it's going to be harder for the rich to enter heaven than a camel to go through the eye of a needle. The same Jesus that started flipping shit up over when he added capitalism to Christianity. Have you looked at your church today? Have you looked at your church today? What do they beg for the most? Money. And what do they use that money to do? Production, higher production stuff. How's the community? No. We're going to do Flying Santa, or we're going to add a new screen. You know my church? How many times have they changed their visuals? How many buildings have they built, all for their own personal programming and entertainment? Help your community. Oh, we give out food here and there. You have so much money that you're collecting from these rich ass people. A couple bowls of food and some toys, leftover toys, is not going to fucking cut it. You guys have completely lost the fucking plot. You guys have lost the fucking plot. If Jesus came down today, he would not recognize y'all. Let's talk about the Christians who talk about beating their kids. Let's talk about the Christians who talk about beating their kids, who talk about sex is bad. That's why I only suck. Oh, I might have to touch that out. Or they say sex is bad. That's only why I only do mouth stuff. Sex is bad. That's why I only do this. Sex is bad. Okay, baby. Let's just sit down. You are doing everything that you can to skirt the consequences of not doing something. Is the same thing as you doing something. Like, I always used to say that people will always be like, they act like their biggest fear, their biggest reason for being Christian is that they fear to go to hell. But by Christian programming, that means you're going to hell regardless. That's another thing I used to question when I was in the church. I was like, they keep preaching, don't go to hell, don't go to hell. If your main reason for being Christian is to not go to hell, which means that you're skirting all the rules, so you're like, I don't want to touch this rule so I don't go to hell, but you see no actual value in the rule. Your spirit itself doesn't hold it. Only your mental, physical, outward self holds those rules. Like, I can't do this, but the inner part of me really wants to do this. Like, that's not like my Christian friends that would used to look down on me for being promiscuous, talking about how they're doing the same shit as me, but they don't do it technically and think that it makes a fucking difference. Are we talking about a spiritual God or a physical God? What do you think matters the fucking most? What you actually physically did or your spiritual state? Ask them that question. And somebody's like, which? That's exactly talking to Christians. Oh Lord. And the thing is, I don't hate Christianity. I want to say this over and over again because I'm an omnist. I believe that every single religion and spirituality has its validity and is all trying to explore the same thing from a different perspective. And once you put all those perspectives together, you get the full scope of it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's a little bit frustrating to see something that was supposed to be a harbinger, something to bring joy into the community, turn into. And the thing is, people are so stuck with it because, well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, the church provides community. That even if it's fake, even if it's backstabbing, it for someone that is starved, you will take crumbs. The church is one of the only few forms of community that you can get nowadays, and that is on purpose. That their indoctrination centers are one of the only places you can get community. And I say indoctrination because a lot of churches are just capitalist machines that hide behind religion. They don't actually give a fuck about the religion. I don't care. Yeah? But where else are you going to get community? Nowhere else so people go to the church because that's the only place where they feel that need being met to some degree. Others don't want to do any exploration of self. They don't, because that's the one thing about a non-structured spirituality is that you have to go figure it out for yourself. Nobody's handing you a rule book. Once you hand a rule book, you don't have to look into yourself. You don't have to organize anything. You don't have to do any work. You can just be like, oh, I'm just going to copy this. I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to just say do what it says. It might be like physically hard to restrain yourself, but it's mentally easy to adopt those rules. You're lazy mentally. And capitalism has created a lot of lazy people, a lot of lazy mentalities. It's normal, but we need to move on. We need to graduate. That's why I say it's a preschool class. Somebody hands you some rules like you're in preschool, but once you get into high school, you're gonna have the same rules that you have in preschool. No, but let's not get into that. Okay. People don't want to actually do self-discovery. They don't want to hold themselves accountable. They can just be like, oh, it's God, or it's this, it's that. Like, it's also something to help you romanticize your suffering for people who don't actually want to fix their suffering. That's why Christianity preys on the most vulnerable. They go into the jails. They go into countries they have no business being in to indoctrinate. Because it's one thing to spread a message. Because to spread a message, that's another thing that I really want to touch on. To spread a message is you cannot force people to accept. To spread a message is to have your message, put it out there, and other people choose whether they take it up or not. You cannot force things down people's throats because then they're still going to end up in hell. Is your goal to have them listen to you, or is your goal to save them? Because right now, my goal is to get people to listen to me, and if they don't listen to me, they deserve bad things. In fact, their idea of hell is so comfortable for them because it means that they have the right to make other people suffer and say that they're doing God's work without ever addressing their own hatred or the ways that they bought into capitalist conditioning, because their Christianity cosigns their capitalism and colonialism and consumerism, where how much wealth is how close you are to God. God rewards the worthy with wealth, and the only type of wealth that he can reward is money. Other types of wealth don't fucking matter. The spiritual wealth, no. Physical wealth, yeah. Again, is your God a physical God or a spiritual God? Because if you really break down Christian ideals, they are worshiping a very physical God. Their God is a very physical being. It's not a spiritual being. It's not a spiritual being. When your religion is more about how you physically present and are received by the world than how you are on the inside, are you serving a physical God or a spiritual God? And I really wish that I could have more people receive this message, because I post a lot of stuff here and it doesn't take off. It doesn't. Nobody wants to listen, which is why I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want on here. No, probably ain't, but nobody gonna see this, so who cares? But it's like I get really frustrated because like you also are hiding behind Christianity. The same way capitalism hides its ugly face, and colonialism and those in power hide their ugly faces behind Christianity to make them look good, the same way that Trump and all the other people do, the people who are in it also do that. They don't have to confront their demons, they can just hide. I'm a Christian. I'm touched by God. Even when I sin, no matter what I do, God will forgive me because I'm the righteous and chosen one. Where's the accountability? There's no self-accountability. It's preschool. You're supposed to surpass that. It's a good starting point. In no other place would you get one message and it's delivered the same message. My church has been delivering the same messages for the decade I've been in this United States. The same shit over and over again. I just watched one of their services for New Year's Eve because my family does what they like to do on New Year's Eve. Same shit that I've been hearing. Same stories. The same shit is being peddled to you over and over again, and you're not thinking, maybe I'm not being intellectually stimulated. What is the purpose of keeping me stagnated and not giving me more complex information and only trusting me with the most basic of things? Don't kill, don't steal, don't destroy. Baby, those are preschool rules. Congratulations, do you want a fucking award? That at your big 40-year-old age, that you haven't stolen anything? Bitch, don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. And then how it navigates into this bigger social, like, it's also kind of really wild how a lot of Christians will say, we're separate from the world, we're being persecuted, and you're the biggest, most prevalent social group or religion that there is in this country. All your politicians argue about the Bible, and I take the Bible as very valid. You're not, who is persecuting you? You're persecuting is you is me. Apparently it's me, people who call you out or that are persecuting you. Do you know what persecution looks like? Do you know what it is to actually be persecuted? You don't actually understand what that means. That's why you think you're being persecuted. You're not. You're not. You're facing the consequences of your own actions, and you're sad that your Christianity is not enough of a shield to hide behind. You're sad that you're actually catching some of the heat from the shit that you've done. And you're like, you guys need to respect this shield more so I don't get hurt. I don't give a fuck, baby. Fuck you and that shield. Move that shit out the way. Right? Because real Christianity, because if you really talk about, if you really want to work with God, if you really want to work with the universe will have you laid the fuck out. You keep playing with it. If you want to hold on to that hatred is going to turn around and bite you in the ass. That's how Christianity really works. It's not a shield. Baby, it's the removal of the mask. It's the removal of the veil. It's the removal of your shield. That is what spirituality and Christianity actually fucking does. You can't hide from God. There's no shield. There's no pretext. There's no pretending. Y'all think that this physical vessel, because it allows your spirit to hide from other people, and capitalism is the whole idea of hiding your spirit behind this physical vessel and all these clothes and status symbols and appearances. You think that you're going to do that from God? You guys don't even study your own reactions on why you believe. You don't study the things that you believe in. You don't study your internal factors. You think that you're getting angry because of this reason, but it's not actually the reason. You're getting angry because another reason. You can't even see yourself, but God can see you. It doesn't matter if you know yourself or you can't see yourself. God can see you. And this is also the thing, is like I never used to understand like how people could go to hell like for one physical mistake. Like, what if you're a perfect Christian and then you sin and then you don't have the chance, and then you pass away right after you sin and you don't have the chance to pray for forgiveness. And then someone else does the same thing, but they pass a little bit later than you, so they have the time to pray for forgiveness. But you did the same thing. The only thing is difference is that you had less time. Is that fair? No, because God is not observing your physical. He is observing your internal state. Your internal state is all that matters. Your physical states are how your internal state bleeds through into this reality. It is an evidence of what your internal state looks like, but the core is how the universe, your physical, meet. And that is you. That is where these things meet. You are the third point. You are this point. Oh, and then also the idea of a master. You guys do not, God, the universe, source is a guide, not a master. And the reason we see it as a master, because if we take it back to the idea of slave indoctrination, indoctrinating women to just submit, you got to get them into practice that God wants you to submit to him, but you can submit to God by submitting to me. What does that, take a step back, and if you had heard that, if you were not raised in Christianity and told to Christianity is the race, if somebody told you that, what's the first thing you would say? If I came and told you omnism is the way, you have to submit to my God, and the only way you submit to my God is through me, what are you going to call that? A cult? I've been called a cult leader level already, and I haven't told anybody to submit to me. People call me a cult leader. I don't ask for any power. I don't have any power. I don't have any power over you. You have all the power. I vouch for personal power, personal autonomy that people don't actually have. People think that they have personal autonomy, but everything that they do is dictated by the standards somebody else has set for them. They don't dictate anything for themselves. That's how they're most comfortable. And this is a little bit disjointed and it's starting to get really long, but that's really the frustrations I have around Christianity. And like, it's always like, if you watched this video, subscribe, follow, if you want to listen to more of my ramblings, but also like I definitely want you to like poke holes in what I'm saying, like actually like add theories to what I'm saying, because like I really want to start opening this discussion, because regardless, I'm gonna be yapping my way out through this. Like, I'm gonna yap. I'm gonna continue to yap. I'm a yapper. As I said, I feel like I've been called to yap, so I'm just gonna yap. But I would like to at least have a little back and forth. But yeah, y'all stay blessed and stay safe, because shit's about to get wild. No, actually, I'm not going. Let's talk about what's about to happen in the United States of America, because I actually want to get this on tape that I said this as well. A lot of different people will have a lot of different theories as to what's happening. Some people say it's the rapture, it's the end times. Some people say it's the singularity. Some people say it's the 5D ascension. Some people say it's the dismantling of the United States government. Some people say it's the beginning of World War III. Some people say the aliens. But everything, all throughout all of those threads, the same thing is shit is changing, something is shifting, something big is happening. Even the people who supported Trump, Like, yeah, Trump is in office, so we can have more power. And the people who are like, oh no, we're gonna follow fascism. Everybody knows something's about to change. And again, sometimes you have to focus more on the pattern than what it is. It's not more about the why they think it is. It's the fact that everybody believes something's about to shift. It's because we have this spiritual knowing, regardless of if you're spiritual or not. We have the conscious understanding, something is shifting. And the idea of rapture and ascension is it's less, even if you don't look at it through spiritual terms, because I keep my spiritual beliefs on these topics to myself, at least for now. But I'm going to tell you from at least a psychological perspective, it's just the nature of the universe. It's the nature of how things flip and switch. Things are about to flip. The people who have been oppressed we're going to flip. That's what's happening. The power structures of today are falling. They are crumbling. And it's going to be very rapture-esque for some of you, because some of y'all are about to enter what's going to feel like hell. The people who have tied your entire well-being to these systems are going to feel like you're in hell. The same way that the white MAGA people are so angry about Black people being in power and stuff, and because they've attached all their worth to these systems, and they're clawing to get them back because they've been held. They feel like they've been thrust into hell mentally. It's going to get worse for them. But for people who have attached their being to how much money they make, y'all are going to suffer the hardest, because the idea of money that we have now is no longer going to persist. It's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take years, but we're probably going to be alive to see it. It's not going to happen immediately, but we're going to be alive. Our concept of money and wealth is different. We can already see it with our push to wellness. As much as they're trying to moderate this shit, it's still being pushed through. This idea of like people focusing on themselves, focusing on their wellness, focusing on their healing, because we're realizing people focusing less on how much money they make and focusing more on work-life balance from a job. Time and healing and happiness are going to be the real wealth indicators, because everybody's about to get real miserable. So the people who have done the healing and done the work to be able to focus on positivity and be able to stay mentally secure and stable in unstable times are going to be the wealthy. That is going to be what is going to be wealth in these times. So if you're unable to do that, you are about to be fucked. I'm so serious. Yeah. Now, we're all fucked regardless in the physical, because chaos is chaos. A beast will claw at you when it's dying, but those claws will fucking hurt. Yeah. But the people who have not detached from these systems are going to be hurting much worse than the rest of us. And in fact, a lot of us are going to be able to see past what is happening and find even almost not joy in the suffering, but joy in the destruction of the systems that we know already. Because it means that something else is going to have space to rebirth, and we can finally move away from this individualism into this community. If you're really attached to these individualistic who think I'm better than people because I have this, I need to be better than people, I need to be at the top of the social totem, I need to look the best, I need to have the most money, I need me to be the most fit, I need to have this, I need to have that, I need that. If you are attached to that, it is start flipping, start switching. At the very minimum, that's the idea of a rapture, right? And I'm gonna make another video about how I think, like, again, I talked about how art is a very important and almost like necessary to get religion and religious, and I think that a lot of stuff has been told in mystifying ways, because that's the way it latches onto the human psyche for generations, right? But at the barest minimum, without the spiritual stuff, the rapture ideology can be boiled down to there's a way of thinking that is going to make you unpleasant, and if you don't learn how to flip it, it's going to be hard. The majority of y'all are not going to be able to do it, because we were all entrenched in this. Now, we're all going to learn these lessons. Eventually. Like, everybody's learning lessons. Some of us just are learning it quicker than the rest of y'all. And when if you know when the universe is teaching you lessons, it's not pleasant, baby. My training period was not pleasant, baby. I barely survived that ish. Oh, that ish almost took me out. Now, I've already gone through my lashings. So some of y'all better start going through yours before it gets real bad. That's all I'm gonna say. Really work on yourself. Focus on yourself. Focus on your mental. Focus on your spiritual. Whatever that means for you. If that means going through your religion, if that means going through your spirituality, if that means just self-development and healing and self-work and therapy, just focus on yourself. Motto 2025, focus on your damn self. Okay, now for real, stay blessed.